faithfully delivering value, interpreting great books from around the world. Hello, this is Sally Talks Books. Today we're exploring the book Beyond Competitive Advantage. There's a core concept in corporate strategy theory called competitive advantage, proposed by Harvard Business School professor Michael Porter. It means, in a nutshell, finding a market position to build sustainable edge, like cost leadership through lower expenses, differentiation via unique products, or niche targeting of specific customer groups. Essentially, companies must establish superior competitive positioning against rivals. While popular in business circles, this theory has two critical flaws. First, accelerating market changes make competitive advantages increasingly unsustainable. Take Dell Computer, founded in 1984, which became PC leader through direct sales and inventory cost advantages. But post-2000, HP, Lenovo, and Apple shattered this model through product innovation and online sales. Second problem, even sustained advantages often fail to create shareholder value in capital markets. The book cites Walmart and Southwest Airlines, dominant yet stagnant stocks from 2000 to 2013. So how do we solve these dual challenges? Author Todd Zenger argues for abandoning competitive strategy altogether, introducing corporate theory. Zenger is chaired professor at Utah Business School and HBR strategy columnist. Corporate theory aims for lasting advantage through continuous reinvention. Harvard's Young Lee Fukin praises its unique value creation potential. Now let's unpack the book through two key questions. First, what exactly is corporate theory? Second, how to implement it effectively. Starting with question one, Zenger's model uses an inverted triangle, beginning with forward-looking perspective, reading industry trajectories. The lower corner is called the internal perspective, analyzing a company's unique capabilities. The upper right corner is the cross perspective, identifying complementary resources that align with the company's unique capabilities. Maintaining this sequence is critical. So these three perspectives answer corporate strategy's fundamental questions. Where are the external opportunities? What unique capabilities do we possess? And what additional ones do we need? Consider Mittal Steel, founded in India in 1976. It remained small until 1989. The pivotal shift occurred in 1989. Mittal developed revolutionary steelmaking technology that directly reduces iron ore to pure iron. With this breakthrough, Mittal acquired Soviet state steel mills en masse, reviving them with its technology and generating substantial profits. 15 years later, in 2004, Mittal emerged as the world's largest and lowest-cost steel producer, achieving this in under 3 decades. Mittal's ascent resulted from correctly applying corporate theory's three perspectives. First, they identified unprecedented external opportunities, developing nations' massive infrastructure-driven steel demand. The forward-looking perspective. Second, Mittal leveraged their core capability, advanced ore reduction technology. The internal perspective. Finally, to capitalize on these opportunities, they required external assets. Numerous but technologically outdated steel plants. Integrating their technology with these assets created tremendous value. The cross-perspective, Mittal executed this perfectly. Their Soviet partnerships alone generated enormous wealth. This mirrors Haier's early strategy. After refrigerator's success, they acquired struggling appliance firms for revitalization. They termed this approach reviving stunned fish. Haier's CEO Zhang Ruimin likened underperforming companies to stunned fish acquired cheaply and revitalized. In corporate theory terms, forward-looking identifies opportunities, internal confirms existing assets, old, while cross-perspective defines new assets. The framework's essence is optimizing relationships between old and new assets. How should we understand this? In Zenger's view, corporate growth is fundamentally an asset game of inputs and outputs, especially for listed companies, where the ultimate focus is return on assets. The core principle of this asset game is controlling scarce assets, meaning companies continuously adjust the match between old and new assets through constant buying and selling. Now, it is precisely this matching relationship that creates scarcity. Thus, Zender simplified corporate theory for sustained growth into asset transactions, with the core being the match between old and new assets. Now, what kind of matching relationship is appropriate? This introduces two evaluation criteria. Uniqueness is straightforward to grasp. The market is intensely competitive. If a company fails to provide unique value, it will be replaced, meaning sustained growth requires continuously creating unique value. This unique value comes from unique asset resources and activities. Complementarity means newly acquired assets should synergize with old ones, creating value greater than the sum of its parts. Let's examine a Disney case study. Disney was founded by Walt Disney in 1923, starting with animated films and expanding into a global entertainment empire across 7 major businesses like film, publishing, media, theme parks, and consumer goods. Among these, animated films and theme parks act as dual engines, driving peripheral businesses such as publishing, media, and tourism. Each expansion into new businesses, in turn, strengthens the original operations. Every new asset Disney acquires matches with old assets to generate fresh value. However, when complementarity between new and old businesses, especially core ones, weakens, overall performance declines. It can be said that Disney's every decline or resurgence boils down to the same issue. Focusing on animated films boosts performance, while distancing from it causes drops. For example, after Walt Disney's death, his son-in-law Miller took over but sidelined animated films, plunging Disney into a prolonged downturn. By 1984, facing a hostile takeover bid, the board appointed Eisner as new CEO. He invested heavily in animation with immediate impact. Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, and other globally blockbuster animated films were produced during this period, marking the revival of animated cinema. This once again activated Disney's ecosystem. From 1984 to 1994, Disneyland attendance grew 7-fold, peripheral product sales revenue increased 8-fold, and market value soared from $1.08 to $28 billion. But the good times didn't last. After gaining wealth, Disney embarked on massive acquisitions, hotels, TV stations, even a baseball team, while its animation leadership was snatched away by Pixar. From 1994 to 2004, the company grew by only 22%. It wasn't until new CEO Iger took over that Disney returned to its core animation production. First, he acquired Pixar, then secured franchises for Marvel superheroes and Star Wars, leading to Disney's empire rising again. Now, let's examine another case, General Mills, a famous American flour company. In the 1970s, it abandoned its flour business and expanded through large-scale mergers and acquisitions. It successively entered 5 new fields: toys, fashion, restaurants, food retail, and packaging. Why did they do this? General Mills had its own theory. Decades in flour made them believe they deeply understood household consumers. With developed distribution networks and rich marketing experience, expanding new businesses seemed highly promising. Sounds perfect, right? Let's see the actual outcome. From 1974 to 1984, General Mills' stock price fell continuously for 10 years, resulting in heavy losses. Why did this beautiful blueprint turn into chaos? The root cause was General Mills abandoning its most unique value. In flour production, success was supported by underlying company capabilities and industry resources. Abandoning flour to enter other industries meant losing their stronghold. New businesses became water without a source, quickly drying up. Without a stronghold, the company couldn't determine how much value acquired businesses could generate or whether they could sustain it. This stems from 2 market problems and 2 internal company issues. First, market-wise. Asset transactions face 2 troubles, one called the winner's curse. Asset transactions typically use auction methods which have inherent flaws. Zenger gives an example. An industrial company A approached 4 interested firms: manufacturing company B, systems company C, investment company D, and company E. Why were they interested? Regarding company A, B valued its technical systems, C, its marketing, D, its brand, hence their different offers. Suppose B bids $20 million first. Then C must offer higher, say $30 million, and so on until D bids $40 million. Thus, when D acquires company A for $40 million, they've spent $20 million more than B. But how much value did they actually gain? $10 million related to the brand. The extra $10 million was artificially inflated by B and C's bidding. Though D only needed the brand, they paid for technology and marketing too. In short, auction winners always overpay. But why spend so much? Because firms believe new assets will synergize with existing ones, creating 1 plus 1 greater than 2 value. But remember, if the first one existing assets lacks uniqueness, the second one, new assets, won't create value. Synergy lost means outcome less than 2. Another trouble is the lemon problem. In American slang, lemon means defective goods, describing how bad products drive out good ones. How does this occur? Take used car markets. Sellers know far more about vehicles than buyers. To raise prices, sellers dress up cars. Buyers pay premiums but get lemons. Thus, buyers distrust quality and refuse high prices, driving values down. Eventually, even sellers with quality products can't command fair prices. This is bad driving out good, inevitably flooding markets with defective lemons. Asset markets follow identical logic. Sellers know assets best and will embellish them to maximize prices. This traps buyers either overpaying or acquiring worthless assets. Beyond market issues like winner's curse and lemon problems, asset acquisitions are also impacted by internal corporate challenges. Two primary issues exist. First, boardroom wars, where investors and managers struggle to align because investors prioritize shareholder interests while managers focus on personal gains. To boost income, managers may inflate stock prices or pursue short-term results at the expense of long-term strategy. The second internal dilemma: build in-house or outsource. For example, when developing a new product, should we build distribution channels internally or outsource? Each approach has pros and cons. In-house offers better customization and control, but requires heavy investment. Outsourcing reduces costs, but sacrifices customization and control. The ideal scenario: outsourcing that delivers low costs and high customization. Collectively, these two market and two internal problems hinder implementing corporate theory. So how do we actually build and implement corporate theory? This leads to the book's second theme, Zender's 3-step solution framework. Step 1. Chart the roadmap. Road mapping means translating corporate theory into concrete milestones that guide toward strategic objectives. Consider Monsanto, an American chemical company success story. In 1983, new CEO Mahoney believed biotechnology was the future trend for medicine and agriculture. He aggressively positioned in biotech, selling chemical, paper, and other divisions within his first year. Over the next 5 to 6 years, he sold 18 more business units while acquiring specialty chemical, agricultural, pharmaceutical, and biotech operations. The most crucial move: establishing a biotech research center. By mid-1980s, breakthroughs emerged, reducing agricultural herbicides and pesticides and environmental pollution. Subsequent research dramatically boosted agricultural productivity. Initially, Mahoney's approach faced skepticism due to long investment cycles and perceived waste. Moreover, the application of new biotechnologies has sparked external resistance, like with GMO technology. But economically, Monsanto achieved tremendous success. It has branches in 66 countries and regions, with over 20,000 employees. In 2018, it was acquired by German pharmaceutical giant Bayer for a staggering $62.05. Zenger believes Monsanto's success stems from both corporate theory and road mapping. Mahoney charted a clear, feasible roadmap. He foresaw a long-term path where agricultural biotech transformed Monsanto from petrochemical to biotech firm. To achieve this, he recognized deficiencies in existing assets and capabilities. Thus, he sold assets to buy new ones, heavily investing in plant genetics, taste, molecular science, gastrointestinal research, while expanding into agriculture, pharmaceuticals,
and specialty chemicals.
In Monsanto's corporate theory, leading biotech technology is the unique value.
Pharmaceutical firms act as complementary assets, creating synergies across agriculture, specialty chemicals, and pharma.
The second step in implementing corporate theory is building external relationships. No company can survive without collaborators. Today's business environment is tightly interconnected and interdependent. And companies have developed various collaborations, from strategic alliances to market bidding to outsourcing, with outsourcing increasingly mainstream. For instance, in the 1970s and 80s, Japanese cars flooded the US market, quickly seizing half the share, causing panic among American automakers. They wondered, how did Japanese cars grow so fast and well in the US? Ultimately, they discovered the key was extraordinary supplier collaboration. For example, American firms like GM or Ford manufactured most parts in-house, buying only a small fraction from suppliers. Plus, each component had many suppliers, making U.S. automaker supplier relationships loose and unstable. Japanese automakers did the opposite, sourcing most parts from suppliers, with highly concentrated suppliers signing 4 to 5 year contracts, even co-developing products to cut costs. Thus, automaker-supplier relationships became enduringly stable. After uncovering this Japanese secret, American automakers followed suit. Long-term partnerships with key suppliers are now the global manufacturing standard. In the internet era, outsourcing and collaboration have become even more frequent. It can be said that the quantity and quality of external partners determine a company's future. Take Xiaomi entering electric vehicles. How can a smartphone maker succeed in autos?
It relies not on capital, but on cross-industry supplier networks.
Xiaomi's auto success hinges on replicating its smartphone supply chain mastery. The third step in implementing corporate theory is dynamic organizational design. What kind of organization does corporate theory require? Zinder argues that due to rapid market changes and internal goal proliferation, dynamic design is essential to focus everyone on corporate theory. For instance, HP in the 1980s had 45 operating departments, acting independently. Facing industry giant IBM, HP's fragmented structure was untenable. Thus, HP consolidated massively, cancelizing manufacturing, marketing, and design under unified standards and platforms, cutting costs and internal rivalry while boosting efficiency. But centralization crippled innovation, slowed decisions, and left HP lagging behind market shifts. By the late 1980s, HP decentralized, granting business units greater autonomy, leading to marked improvement. In 1995, re-centralization occurred. By 1998, decentralization returned. Thus, for decades, HP cycled between centralization and decentralization. Why? Because centralization versus decentralization involves two core functions: coordination and innovation. Centralization boosts coordination efficiency, but stifles innovation.
Decentralization does the opposite, fostering innovation but hindering coordination.
Hence, organizational design requires dynamic balance between coordination and innovation, and centralization and decentralization. How to maintain this balance? One principle: focus on overall performance. The goal is enterprise-wide results, not isolated achievements. Mobilizing all forces to maximize outcomes. How to do it? Typically divided into 3 steps. Step 1. Focus on strategic objectives, using them to guide all departments and employees' attention. Step 2. Identify key activities and allocate resources to the most valuable ones to maximize efficiency. Third, compare outcomes with goals to dynamically optimize organizational standards for setting strategic objectives and the results of key activities. Comparing these reveals organizational issues for continuous improvement. That concludes the main content of the book for you. Let's summarize briefly. Corporate theory consists of forward-looking perspective, internal perspective, and cross-perspective, corresponding to market opportunities, corporate strengths, and external resources. Corporate theory includes 3 steps. Step 1 is drawing a roadmap based on the corporate theory. Step 2 is building external relationships based on long-term trust principles. Step 3 is dynamically designing the organization around overall performance. In complex and volatile business environments, a company's competitive advantage isn't permanently preserved. Only companies that continuously create value can achieve sustained growth. All right, that concludes our interpretation of beyond competitive advantage for you. Listening notes are below the audio. We'll see you next time.